Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Browns halftime show with the score: the Giants 21, the Browns 7. Uh, this isn't hard to figure out, to be very honest with you. Uh, since the departure of Callahan, our offensive line, yes, it may have aged a year, but not to this degree. There is a lack of technique, a lack of desire, and a lack of drive. And it doesn't matter who quarterbacks this team. Doesn't matter because there's no time to throw the football. And there's no adjustments being made on the offensive side of the ball as a direct result of it. The Giants came in as a team that did not blitz very often, but they're blitzing on every play. You would think that Kevin Stefanski could at least sense something like that going on, but no. There is no adjustment being made. They, on the other hand, figured out that Jim Schwartz would be, blitzing on every play and would be over aggressive and have proceeded to run misdirection plays, and this is the case, Joe. Good to see you. This is the case, and yes, Ken, he was that big of a deal. I would say that the Giants have a great defensive line. No, they're just throwing short passes. I mean, it isn't that. It's that they're running misdirection plays. That's all they're doing. They're faking handoffs and running wide. The quarterback is faking a handoff, running wide. He drops back to pass, and within a second and a half or 2 seconds, he throws it out on the flat, and it gets 12 yards. Our guys whiff and miss the tackle. There's no tackling technique whatsoever. This is a case of being outcoached by Brian Daboll, and a matter of a team wanting it more prepared. The Browns have not been prepared all season. They won't be prepared. Andy Dickinson should be fired immediately as the line coach because whatever it is he's doing, it's unacceptable. And Jim Schwartz should be replaced as well because every team knows what he's going to do before he does it. And this has been the case the latter part of last year all the way into this year, including the humiliating loss against the Houston Texans. And, there's a lot of things you can say. Double P, you're correct. Neighbors is a number one receiver. What number one can we possibly have on the field if he has no time to throw the football? There's no time to get down the field. DeJuan Jones is taking a fucking holiday. I got no idea. I'm looking at these players and they look like statues, complete with pigeon shit on their shoulders. They're not moving their feet at all. And if they're not ready to play, then don't play them. But it isn't just one, it's all of them. And Jerome Ford just stops running. It doesn't matter what the play is. He tries to cut it back and gets tackled. We have no running game. We have no passing game. We're totally predictable on defense. There's no way this team can win. The Jaguars gifted us a win last week, but one of the worst teams in football has just taken us to the woodshed and will continue to do so, as every team will, because it's as simple as throwing the Guardians change-ups. It's like if you get Jhonkensy Noel up at home plate and you throw an off-speed pitch 6 to 8 inches outside into the ground, he'll swing at it. That's what we have here. We're that predictable. Never going to win. And the frustration, yeah, that's what you saw there, Keith. Pure frustration. The players have lost their composure. They're beaten to a pulp. They don't know what to do. Strategically, the coaching staff doesn't know what to do. And the season is over for the Cleveland Browns. And as a fan of the Browns, I'm not a fan of this. This is what you have to just change. It's like I said, you got to start over. Nobody wants to hear my message, but it's more clear and more precise and incredibly correct today than it was last week, and the week before, and the week before, and the week before, the week before. They're old. The offensive line is old. Jack Conklin couldn't play today because he injured a hamstring. Stop and think about that. After all the knee problems, what does that tell you? The knee's not strong enough. He's pushing too hard, and he rips up his hamstring. He should retire and never play again, because that's what you call it's an injury of compensation. The knee is simply not strong enough for him to play on it. DeJuan Jones shouldn't be on the field. He looks like he's mummified. I don't know what to tell you, except if you're cheering for the Browns, you're cheering for a team that is going to be rebuilt from the bottom on rip it to shreds and start all over again, because this can't work. The other thing is, you can't present this to fans. Listen to the Giants fans in the stadium, for God's sakes. This never used to happen. But because of the Deshaun Watson separation of the fans 50-50, the Browns have no fan base anymore to fill their own stadium. So there's no home field advantage in any home game that we will play. And when you hear the opposing fans whooping it up, our players are just totally lost, and I don't. There's no way to analyze this. You got a turnover to begin the game, and you got a second turnover, and then Emerson with his bonehead, I'm going to hit the quarterback in the head for no reason, and then it was all Giants after that, and it will be all Giants for the rest of the game, just like the Dallas Cowboys. You see, this is not a fluke. There's going to be blowouts all season long because we have no discernible offensive scheme. If I were Kevin Stefanski, I'd go back to the old scheme. What did I say? It was Newsom, the midget. Yeah. I would go back to whatever the old defense was. I would get running backs somewhere. I would just go wherever I could go to find other running backs besides the ones that we have. Analytics isn't the problem, Analytics would tell you that your players are too old. This is the bullshit about the Browns and analytics. Oh, we're a very analytics organization. No, they're not. Because obvious things that you would take into account, like age and injury and lack of playing activity because of injury, would factor into analytics. But, that's it. Keith, you go and play quarterback out there, okay, and get your knees ripped out. All right, that's what I wish for you. And I mean that seriously today. If you can pick him out of the whole mess, the guy's going to get killed. And you probably like that because that's just, the way you are. But your personal beliefs don't enter into it. The whole team around him, they're not going to support Jameis Winston either. They're just going to hurt our players because they shouldn't be out there. They're not good enough. There are some things that I have decided to do, and it's going to be mainly in the post-game show, but any political references to the chat room, you'll be kicked out. Heston's been kicked out, and just keep it up, and I'll kick every one of you out, because that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a football team that's having a lot of problems. And the Cleveland Browns aren't going to solve their problems by running the same defensive strategy predictable factor out there every single time. All right. And Captain Fierce has said he's already stopped watching the game. It makes you want to do that because it's like, don't they see what's happening out there? It's an embarrassment. And not that they care about the fans, because they never do. No one in the NFL cares about the fans, really, except for gambling and for paying the NFL Sunday ticket prices and stadium tickets and parking rates and the food in the stadium and all that. Nobody cares about the fans. But they can't cry about it knowing that the fans are booing them and other teams' fans are coming in and out louding them in their own stadium. Nobody cares about the Browns. I don't care about the Browns. You don't care about the Browns. Nobody does. The national media doesn't care about them. And there's nothing worth watching here. It's kind of like, move along, folks. There's nothing to see here. It's like a fucking car accident, man. And Rocks, that's great. It's great. Ye of faith, that's a wonderful thing. If they could score 21 points in a game, which would be good enough to tie, assuming they were held the other team scoreless, they can't score that much. And the play calling is being suspect. I guess all the plays depend upon blocking by the offensive line. Can't run, can't pass defend, no play will work. And it looks to me as if whatever this scheme that they tried to put in, that this is the end of Ken Dorsey's professional football career, and he's going to get blamed for it, not Kevin Stefanski. I don't know what the difference is because, quite honestly, I haven't seen enough offense from this team to be able to identify what they're trying to do. I just don't know. And Coach Wilson, you're absolutely right. There's no plan, no vision, no cohesion, forcing systems on players. Yep. And, and telling the defense it's do or die on every play and letting teams just run the opposite way and run misdirection plays for huge yardage. Well, my 12 minutes is over with. If you choose, you can watch the rest of the game. If not, there's other things you can do, I'm sure. I'll be on afterwards on the post-game show with a very similar message that I've had here last week and every program that I do on my podcast, and that is start over from the studs. I'll see you after the game.